Hello and welcome back. I'm glad you've joined me. I'm Michelle Laley Farnsworth, and I am an author, coach, and advocate, supporting you to find and follow your design through connecting with your true self. In today's video, I am really excited to share with you some thoughts about how we understand what it is that our noble self, which is our soul, craves, desires, and allows it to feel lavished upon and loved. So I have a lot of focus that I place in my work on self-love, and a lot of it has to do with understanding that there are two parts of ourselves, which I'll go over briefly. You'll have a link for a more full video on this. But we have a noble self, which is our soul, and a shadow self, which is our ego. Both of these parts are equally important, and both of them flourish and grow and become who they were supposed to be when we love them. Both our light and our darkness, our perfection and our imperfection. And so what I want to focus on here is the idea that when we are trying to give, especially our noble self, which is the part of us that is connected to the divine, the part of us that is infinite, part of us that will be with us through heaven or the next world or the next worlds, or however you might see it in this life after this one. Our noble self is that part of us. It's the part that has wisdom, it's our intuition, it's a faithful guide and something we can trust. And in order for it to grow and to flourish, it really needs to thrive upon both the small daily things that we might do for it that makes it feel loved, as well as creating a life that allows it to thrive. And so I want to focus mostly on the second, as I've talked in other videos about the things we can do to make ourselves feel loved each day. I want to really focus on how do we know what the things are that make us thrive in a longer term capacity, in a larger view of our entire lives, in a life that we create or recreate or change or live or grow into. And so one of the concepts that I think is super important in this conversation is an understanding that that our noble self absolutely knows what it needs. And the way it tells us what it needs is by giving us clues through our body, through our emotions, and through intuitive nudges. And so what I've noticed is that in my kind of previous pre-transformation life, when I was really still struggling between hearing the noble self and hearing the shadow self, trying to determine which one was which, even before that, not even understanding that I had two parts of myself, I think that I would make decisions on what I was to do based on everything outside of myself and almost nothing inside of myself. And what I'd like to share with you is that our decisions, because our only companion in our entire life is ourselves. Yes, we'll have family, we'll have friends, we'll have partners, we'll have loved ones, but the one piece, the one part of us that will be with us forever is our soul. And so it is our job to feed it. It's nobody else's job. It's also not our job to really feed and grow anyone else's soul. It's their responsibility. So we then put the focus on ourselves to love ourselves and also to make decisions from ourselves, not from dictates that society might tell us, narratives that we've learned from family and friends about who we are and what we need, or stories that we've told ourselves that might limit our ability to thrive and ability to truly understand what brings us joy. So what I have leaned into in the last couple of years has been this idea that I got from an author and activist and feminist called Adrianne Marie Brown. And one of her books is called Pleasure Activism. And it and all of her books are very powerful, and I would recommend them. But the idea that really stuck with me, from that particular book was that when we are able to tap into what our actual joy is, what our actual places are that we are attracted to, the better we will be at making a better world for ourselves, for our children, for our families, for the environment, for all of those things. Because in our creation, we were given a design, and in that design, we already know what lights us up, what brings us joy, and what is our particular puzzle piece in this world where we all need to work together to make a better place. And so the way she calls this knowingness, this pull towards something, this absolute yes, that's what I need to do, is she calls it an orgasmic yes. And I really love that language, because it is the yes when you see artwork, you see a friend you haven't seen in a while. It's the yes you can't hold back. It's the yes that comes through you because you are just so clear you're in the right place and you are feeling completely turned on and joyful in that moment. We all know that. We know when we see it. We might notice it will show up when we hear a new, a sequel to a movie is coming out and we love the first one and go, yes, right? It's that feeling that we have. A friend says, I'm going to come visit you, and we're like, yes, I can't wait to see you. That's the yes. Now, what's interesting, we all know what that is, but most of us have believed what society has said to us, which is life is hard and you'll have really small portions of time when you'll have those yeses. But usually work is not going to be yes, it's going to be, this is good, this is nice, this is practical, I do like what I do, it's interesting, it's challenging, right? We all say those things, or we'll say, no, not at all, we know what our no's are. But usually we talk ourselves into our okay yeses, right? Yeah, this relationship is okay. Yeah, my relationship with my family is okay. My work is okay. This job that I've been doing, this company I'm working for, yeah, it's fine. But it's not that full-on yes that our soul is looking for. And so what I recommend is there's going to be 2 steps to this understanding of this orgasmic yes. One is just noticing when it shows up and just knowing, oh, that's one of those. Feeling it in your body, seeing where for me, it's always my chest, it feels more open. Other people, your belly might get lit up or your shoulders get excited or whatever, right? Everyone's going to be different. So start noticing what those things are, and if you can, do more of them. So maybe you visit that particular friend once a year, maybe you see them more often or see other friends. Maybe you get super excited about an idea of going to the beach. Try to do that more often. Maybe it's reading a particular genre of book or watching a movie or whatever it is. But when there's something where you just go, yes, that's what I want to do, find out what it is and do more of it. But the first step, of course, is figuring out what does it feel like and how do you know what they are. Now, there are some times where we go through life and we go, I don't actually know what that is. So your yes is going to look different than mine. Mine looks like, oh, yes, totally. Other people's yeses might just be like, ooh, or you feel super calm, or you're just like, that's what I need, right? It's going to be different. It's not going to always be the same. So just find out what that is for you. And then, as much as you can over time in your life, as things transition, as you're able to make more space for more of the yeses, or you start to understand, okay, my job is good, it does pay the bills, I do feel challenged, it's great, but it's not the full yes, or it's not even a partial, oh, I love working here. Start thinking about something different. Don't have to make drastic changes. Don't go crazy. This isn't about, all of a sudden selling all your belongings and going to an ashram or something, totally random, right? But what it is about is knowing what those things are and start thinking about how to plan for them or think about them or put them into your affirmations as things that you work towards. And I think the third step, which is actually underlying the entire piece of this, is giving yourself permission to know that life is about these orgasmic yeses, that life is for that, and that you are worthy and loved enough to receive them. And sometimes this step is the hardest. Sometimes this is what slows us down, because we say, well, I'd love to live in, Spain, let's say, but I need to be practical. I've got to make sure I pay my mortgage. I'll do that when I retire. So it's a putting off. And maybe that lights you up. Oh, I really like that idea. I really don't actually want to do that now. I want to do that when I retire. But if there's a desire in your heart to do a thing and you're putting it off for practicalities, or you're putting it off for, I'm not worthy enough, I haven't saved enough money, I haven't done enough in the 401k, I haven't met my goals, whatever that might be. Open up to knowing that your soul desires something, and in your love for your soul, you start to say, okay, I'm not going to discard your idea. We've got to brainstorm about how to make this work in my current lifestyle, my current setup. Let's see what we can do. And maybe you make it work inside of what you already have. Or maybe you do something drastic. Whatever it is, giving yourself permission to know that you can do the piece that is orgasmically yes for you is exactly the point. So, I want to share that with you. I'm loving this idea. I'm loving being able to share it. And the reason is because little by little over the last few years, I am living more and more in my days, in each of my days, in my orgasmic yes. And I'm just so happy to have allowed myself, given myself permission, getting out of my own way, and now living more and more the life that I want to live, that lights me up and makes me happy. So I wish the same for you, and I hope that this video has been useful to you in that journey. If you have found this video useful and are interested, please hit the subscribe button so you can see more of my videos. If you're already subscribed and want to be notified of future videos, you can click on the bell icon for that. And then if you want to join me in my other spaces, so I have other social media spaces, courses, group coaching, individual coaching, and I do have a book as well. So if you want to interact with me, work with me in any of those spaces, would love to have you. All the information about that is in the descriptions to the video. Thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to having you on the next one.